I'm gonna have to call the police on her. Like, this is crazy. This is gonna be my first time calling the police on somebody. Hi guys. So it has been a long time since I did a straight hairstyle. I've literally done every single hairstyle to my hair besides blow dry and straighten it, because I just cannot find the courage or the desire to sit down and do my hair. It's getting longer and it's becoming too much. So today I found the energy, so here we are. Hey, how are you? So you guys seem to have really liked my last story time about the crazy client that decided to, cuss me out because it was kind of my fault. So I thought I'd give you another story time of it not being my fault. This had nothing to do with me, and she wanted a tussle. She really did. She really freaking did. So let's go ahead and get right on into it, because it is just a hot mess. And it's just so crazy to me. This is going to be another Miami story time. When I was a receptionist / apprentice, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like a classist thing. I don't know if it's an elitist thing. I don't know. But the way these people treated me because they thought I was the help was insane. And to me, it just like blows my mind, because even if I was like the person that cleaned the gum from the street, you know what I mean? I don't feel like you should treat me any different. I'm a person at the end of the day, and like I'm just the type of person that I treat everybody equally, you know what I mean? You respect me, I respect you. I'm gonna respect you first, you respect me back, you know what I mean? Treat people how you want to be treated. But apparently that means nothing to these people, okay? Because most of my like crazy story times are when I was a receptionist, not even when I was taking clients. So shows how terrible the world is. To give you like a little bit of a background, so where my salon was that I was working at, they took a lot of tourists, right? This is another thing to me. Maybe I'm just poor. I don't know how money works, but like we had a lot of people that were not from Miami that would fly in here for like business or leisure or whatever. And they would just like one-stop shop. They would come to get their eyelash extensions. They would come to get Brazilian blowouts. And to me, that stuff is like expensive. I wouldn't just fly to Miami while I'm on business and then call up the local salon and be like, oh, hey, can you give me a $450 Brazilian blowout? Cool, today, right now? Okay, bye, see you then. It is just a different kind of lifestyle that I have not been exposed to yet. We're gonna get there. But I just like, that was a common thing. So we had like consistent clients that lived in Miami, but for the most part, it was a lot of people just doing that. Just rich people dropping in, getting a service and leaving, never seeing them again. So that's one disclaimer I have to put out. The second disclaimer is that our salon offered almost like a loyalty program. I can't really go too in detail because then it's gonna give away exactly the salon that I worked at, and I'm not trying to get sued, okay? They sue. They do that and I ain't got no money, so nope, not happening. So I'm trying to be as vague but as descriptive as I possibly can. So they had somewhat of like a loyalty program where if you bought or like put money on a certain amount of services, you get a discounted rate for other services, and it was a significant discount. So a lot of people really liked that. So remember that it's like a loyalty program, and remember, she's a tourist. Okay, boom, cool. So one day I was working, minding my business, doing my thing, and this lady drops in. She comes in, and we're gonna call her Marissa. So Marissa comes in and she was like, hey, do you guys do eyelash extensions here? Which we did, because we were a full service salon. Like we had a spa, we had an acupuncturist, we had manicures, pedicures, hair, all that, okay? It was a full service, pretty high-end salon. So when she comes in, she asked me if we did eyelash extensions, and I said yes. And who actually did the eyelash extensions was the manager / owner. So she had a big thing, like she had to do a consultation with you before she did your eyelashes. She was like the most when it came to her clients, like in her services. She was really the most. Like she didn't wax people's eyebrows, she plucked them, because Like, I don't even know. Like, she was just so the most. It was crazy. So when she would book eyelash extensions, she would book a consultation first. So I don't know if that's everybody's eyelash extension people, but I don't know. I don't do eyelash extensions. But I was asking her, I was like, okay, well, I have to make a consultation for you before. She does have time today because she did have the time, but she was going to have to do the consultation first. So I was like, let me go ahead and see if she has the time or blah, 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 blah. You can have a seat. And she was like, well, I don't have to wait. Like, I don't want to wait. And this was like the start of, because mind you, I got very used to working with a lot of international people, right? Obviously, what is done in America is not what's done in Europe. It's not what's done in Australia and things like that. Like, the whole service dynamic obviously is different from the different countries that you're from. However, being rude is being rude regardless, okay? Like, I don't know. So she was like, I don't want to wait. And I was like, I don't know what you want me to tell you. Like, first of all, I have to go get this woman. I have to figure out where she's at. Second of all, I don't know what to tell you. So she was basically, the first interaction was basically her telling me that she didn't want to wait. And I was like, well, unless you want your eyelash extensions, lady, like, don't know what to tell you. So I told her, I was like, well, there is no other way for me to get the service for you. Either you can wait or you don't get the service. Kept it pretty blunt, very direct with her, because I already knew what type of time she was on and I just wasn't feeling it that day, I guess. So she was like, oh, okay. And I was like, can I offer you any coffee, water, tea, or anything while you're waiting? She's like, no. So I was just like, whatever, girl. I go to the back, to the spa area, and I find my manager. And what did I call her in the last video? Sydney, right? So I go to Sydney and I was like, hey, Sydney, I have somebody here. She wants to do eyelash extensions, a full set. And she doesn't want to have a consultation, but I just wanted to let you know, like, do you want to take her? You have the time, blah, 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 blah. So my manager, Sydney, was just like, of course I'm going to take her because it's money. So she's like, of course I'm going to take her. I'm going to go ahead and set my room up so we can do the consultation. And then if it is, like, go ahead and book me out for that entire time. And as you guys know, if you do eyelash extensions, them things last for hours. Like, I try to get on the eyelash extension train, but I just could not. It takes so long to do eyelash extensions, especially a full set. 3 hours? No thanks. So I went ahead and I booked her out for like 3.5 hours. So, okay, cool. She gets the thing ready. I go ahead and I go up to Marissa and I was like, hey, she's getting her room ready. She'll take you in a couple minutes. And she was just like, okay. Rolled her eyes, everything at me. I was just like, okay. So she goes back. I don't know anything. I have no clue what's went on, what happened, what's the tea, what's not the tea. I don't know, okay? Because all I did was tell her she's ready. They went back. I'm assuming that she got her eyelashes done for 3.5 hours because that's how long they were back there. So my whole day goes on. I did whatever I needed to do in the salon, cool, boom, bang, pow, living it up, whatever. So my manager always left. She never stayed the full day. She always had to leave at 3 o'clock because that's when her kids got out of school or something. Like, I don't know. She always left at 3. Her whole schedule was always at 3 unless it was Saturdays. So she already got to the time, like the time had come to like the end of her appointment and the end of the eyelashes was right at 3. So she gets out of the room and she tells me, she was like, hey, this is how much you're going to charge her. She decided to get on the loyalty program. So this is what she's going to pay. She gave me the whole rundown. She wrote down on a piece of paper, this is what she's going to pay. This is what she's going to do. Yada, yada, yada. I have to leave. I already let her know everything is good to go. I'm going to leave now. Cool. This was not out of the ordinary. This was not something that was like crazy. My manager always did this. I was used to it by now. She always kind of like wrapped up her services and all I had to do was check out her clients. Once again, I don't know what happened in the span of 3.5 hours that she didn't feel the need to tell me or what. But the lady comes out, Marissa comes out, and like I said, my manager says she signed up for the loyalty program. So with the loyalty program, you get a certain, it's like weird because I can't really explain it. I've done this part like about 5 times because I'm trying to explain the loyalty program in a way that doesn't give the salon away. And it's actually a lot harder than what I expected. So basically with the loyalty program, you pay a lump sum of money up front and then you can get discounted services. However, it was on a contract. So you're in a contracted agreement that you're going to pay this up front and then you're going to like do the rest. So in the time that she was with Sydney, she had signed that contract, okay? Mind you, it was the contract. There wasn't like, it was 3 pages long. You had to read it. It had, highlighted, bolded, red stuff. The lady signed it. So I thought everything was good to go when Sydney came out, gave me the contract, gave me the rest of the stuff on the piece of paper that she told me that she was going to be charged for. So this woman's total for her eyelashes and for everything was about like $360. Okay, mind you, I worked in a pretty high-end salon, so this wasn't anything crazy, especially with the clientele that we got. Like, it wasn't anything like out of the ordinary to get like really big totals like that. So once again, didn't think a thing of it. I didn't think anything of it, okay? So boom, she comes out. And I was like, oh, how was everything? And she was like, oh, it was really great. I love my eyelashes. And she's just raving about it. And so obviously this was like a completely different person than who really walked in. But she was ranting and raving about how she really loved the eyelashes. It was so good. It was this, that, and the third. And I'm just like, oh, that's great. Perfect. So I was like, here's a copy. I made a copy of the contract. And I said, here's a copy of your contract. Here you go. Today, your total is going to be $360. As soon as I said your total is going to be $360, she completely flipped. Like, she completely changed everything about her. And not like the person that she was when she first walked in when she was rude to me. She was like Satan, okay? She was like, what did you say to me? And I was like, I was taken back. I was like, what do you mean what I say to you? Like, I just said the total. So once I like reset the total to her, I was like, it's gonna be $360. She basically just decided that I was like, she wanted like accuse me. She started accusing me as if I like made something up. Like I just added charges. She was like, no, that's not what it is. Like, what did you add on there? What did you put on there? Because that's not what it was. So now it turned into me trying to explain to her that I don't add anything. What do I gain? I don't get commission off of this. I'm just the one checking you out, right? So I'm just like, no, like I didn't add anything. Like this is the breakdown, which there's nothing to break down. It's 2 prices. Like it's the eyelashes and it's the loyalty contract. Like I don't know what it is else that you want me to tell you, you know what I mean? So I'm just trying to say that to her. And every time I kept trying to say that, she kept interrupting me. Like, I was like, no, it's, the service and the contract. And she was like, no, you added something because that's not what the lady said. And I'm just like, I have a handwritten note of what this lady said. I need to charge you. Like, I was so confused because I'm just like, the way Sydney told me, like, oh, she signed the contract or whatever, and in the contract, it tells you how much you're going to pay. It's like explicitly states that for the first initial cost, you have to pay the cost of your service plus the contract fee. So I'm just like, what? Your name is right there, ma'am. So I don't see how, like, No one is trying to like trick you into doing anything. So I was so confused because I was like, that's not like, okay, whatever. So she gets upset with me because I just explained that to her, and she starts yelling at me. She was like, well, then take the contract. I don't want to be on your contract. Take the contract off, whatever. And I'm like, in my head, I'm just like, technically, if you sign a contract, you're binded for life, okay? You're binded for the duration of the contract. But I was just like, I guess this is her first time, you know what I mean? It's not like she's trying to do something later on. So I was just like, okay, like I can take off the contract. So these are all fake prices, by the way. Let's just say like the eyelashes were $300 and the contract added $60 to her service. So I was like, okay, without the contract, it's $300. And that, you would have thought that I like called her the most derogatory term ever in life when I said, okay, I took the contract off, but it's gonna, like, for the total of your service is still gonna be $300. She looked at me and she was like, no, I'm not paying that. And I'm just like, ma'am, the service was done. The service was done. So whether or not you want to do the contract, you still have to pay the $300 for your eyelashes. And she was like, no, I'm not paying for it. So she's like yelling at me, talking about, oh, I'm not paying that. That's not what I signed. And so like now I'm really confused with her because she's going back and forth with me. She thinks that I added on something that I didn't add on. She tells me to take the contract off, so I take the contract off. And then I tell her the price after the contract gets taken off. And then she's telling me that that's not what she signed. I'm just like, this is bleach, by the way. Just don't pay attention. I cleaned the counter and I grazed this, so just ignore this. But I'm just over here like, what is not clicking to you? Like, okay, I took the contract off, but you still have to pay for your service. And then she's talking about, that's not what I signed for. Okay, forget about what you signed for because it's gone. Like, we voided it. I took the contract off, okay? And so another thing about this contract that she was not understanding was she thought that the contract added a discount, that it gave you a discount for signing up for the loyalty program. She didn't understand that you still had to pay the initial fee when you signed the contract. So I'm trying to explain that to her while she's still not listening to me. And she keeps saying like, I don't want to sign the contract. So I'm just like, okay, we're going to void the contract. No contract. You still have to pay $300 for these eyelashes. I don't know what else it is that you want me to tell you. I don't know how else you want me to explain this to you. So I was like, you still have to pay $300. And now all that niceness is like out the window. I did not care. She's yelling at me at this point for literally no reason. So I'm kind of like being very blunt and direct with her and like kind of giving her same energy. And she was like, I'm not paying this. And I'm like, okay, well, if you don't pay, then I have to call the police because that's it. So I get Sydney on the phone and I was like, hey, I don't know what you told this woman, but she's saying that she doesn't want to pay. That's exactly what I said. This lady tries to reach over the counter to like grab my phone. And I was like, whoa, back up. And she was like, I didn't say that I didn't want to pay. And like, mind you, I'm still on the phone. And I'm like, okay, well, I told you the total. You don't want to pay it. You got your service. So what is that saying? That you don't want to pay. So yeah, Sydney, she doesn't want to pay. I don't know what it is that you told her, but she does not want to pay. So then she was like, put the lady on the phone. So mind you, this lady started calling somebody else. I don't know who she was calling. Marissa started calling someone of her own, like, person. I don't know. So then Marissa is like, hold on. So she stops talking to the person she's on the phone with and she gets on the phone with Sydney. They're going back and forth. And then while like all I'm hearing is Marissa saying, that's not what you said. The contract said this. And I'm just like, did we not just talk about how the contract is not your issue, okay? Your issue is not the contract. Your issue is that you don't want to pay for the service that you were provided. That's what your issue is. Like, call it what it is. So she was like, yelling or whatever. So then Sydney calls my actual personal phone. So I guess she hung up on her because we were using the salon phone. So she called my personal phone and I was like, yes. And she was like, she still needs to charge, like, you still need to charge her the $300. And if you don't pay, if she doesn't pay $300, call the police. I'm like, oh, this is getting a little intense now. I'm feeling like, oh my God, this is like intense. I have to call the police. And like, I've only called the police twice in my whole entire life. One was for a stalker, Armando, and two was for a man driving and he had a seizure, and that was the whole thing. But like, I've never done like a customer service, like a police call. So I'm just like, oh my God, like this is getting serious. This lady is really just gonna walk out with her eyelashes done and I'm gonna have to call the police on her. Mind you, we have cameras everywhere. We have cameras, like if I'm like standing right here, we have cameras like back here over me. They record audio and visual, and like everywhere else in the salon besides like I think the spa area or whatever. So I'm just like, oh my God, like what is going on? And so this lady was like, you can call the police because I'm not paying. So I'm real life thinking like, all right, I'm gonna have to call the police on her. Like, this is crazy. This is gonna be my first time calling the police on somebody. So she's like on the phone she gets back on the phone with whoever she was talking to, and they were speaking into their own language. So she was basically like, she hangs up the phone and she was like, how much is it gonna be without the contract, just the service? And I was like, for the billionth time, it's gonna be $300. So I looked at her and I was like, it's $300. And so she was like, okay, well, I want you to rip up that contract. And I was like, that's fine. Like, go ahead. And she was like, no, I want to see you rip it up. And I'm like, I don't need to rip it up in front of your face. Like, I'm going to shred it. Like, we have a shredder. I'm going to shred it. I don't need to rip it up. Like, she was insisting that I ripped up the contract in front of her face. And so I was like, no. So mind you, remember, I had the initial contract. She has a copy of her contract. Will you all believe this psycho takes the pen, flips over the copy of her contract, and she starts writing her own contract. I'm not even gonna say her own contract. She just started writing on the back of the paper in her pen and handwriting. She was like, I, Marissa, am only going to pay $300 for this service, but this is a scam, and I don't feel like I need to pay this, and this is ridiculous. Like, she went off on the, like, basically writing a review in a form of a contract. Because, like, what she was saying wasn't making sense. So she was basically saying, like, I, Marissa, am going to pay the $300, but I have been scammed by da-da-da-da, whatever. Y'all, she signed and dated it. And I was like, and she, like, hands it to me. And I just look at it and I read it. And I'm just like, okay, like, I don't know what you want me to do with this. And so I was just like, what is this? And she was like, this is my contract to you guys, because you guys better not charge my card more than $300. And once again, I'm just like, ma'am, I don't know what, like, so I tell her, I'm like, I have no reason to charge your card more than $300. And I was like, even if I was to do that, we have cameras. Like, I can't charge you for stuff like that. We're in a system. And then she was like, I don't trust your system. I don't trust you, and I don't trust your system. I don't know, you guys. I don't know, because obviously you guys are capable of scamming me in my face, and then you're scamming me again. So I don't even know what you're going to do with my card information. I honestly, if I had cash, I would pay you in cash, because I don't even trust you guys to use my card information. And I'm just like, first of all, how is it a scam? Please let me know if you came in, you got the exact service that you wanted. It was completely 100% provided to you, and you're not wanting to pay. Like, how are we scamming you? You signed a contract that you didn't understand. I voided it, whatever, threw it away, cool. How is that a scam? And why are you writing your own contract to give to me? You made your own contracts to give to me, but you signed it yourself. So I'm just like, this woman is unhinged. Like, there's no possible way, like, you understand what is going on here. Like, so I ran her card. The first card she gave me declined. which I'm just like, is this why you're causing such a ruckus? Like, even, okay, boom, even in the like the lowest end of eyelash extensions, because I do remember that our eyelash extensions were like $275 to $300, depending on what you wanted and all that stuff. But like, they ranged, okay, but they were expensive. So I'm just like, even on the low end, it's pretty expensive to get your eyelashes done. Like, I've never seen an eyelash extension be cheap. So I'm just like, why did you come here? Like, whatever. So her first card declined. And that was like the worst thing ever, because I'm like, ma'am, this card doesn't work. And she was like, it doesn't work, or your system doesn't work, or are you trying to take my card information? There's no way for me to take your card information if the card does not work. So I'm like, no, I'm not trying to take your information. I have nothing to get from that. If you can give me a card that works, like, that's all I need. She gives me another card. It goes through. I was like, can you sign? This part, I'm just like, ma'am, if we were anywhere else. I go, because you know how when you give somebody, they have to sign the merchant copy. So I give her the pen and the, like, you know how it goes, like when they print the receipt, and I was like, can you sign the top copy? And here's the pen. I put the pen down on the paper and like slid it to her. She like slides it back, and she's like, no. And it like, she basically like slides it back, and like the paper and the pen got thrown at me. And I was like, you have to sign this. She's like, I'm not signing anything. I'm not signing anything that has to do with this place. I don't trust you. You can take my signature and you can forge it on another contract. And I'm like, if I was running a scam, okay, if that was the case, ma'am, you already signed the initial contract. So if I wanted to, like, let's say this was my business, I can run your information, I can run your card, and I can hold you to that as long as I feel like, because the loyalty program, you had to do like 6 months or something like that. I can do that, and it's legal because you signed the contract. So you signing a receipt, I don't need your signature on a receipt to forge it on a contract that you already signed. Stupid. Like, I was so confused, but then I was like angry because like we're going back and forth with each other. And so she's like, I'm not signing the receipt. So I was like, okay, then leave. You're done. Like, so I'm getting like too much. Okay. So she was like, I'm not signing the receipt, whatever. And I was like, okay, so you can leave. That's it. Like, I'm not fighting with you. I'm not going back and forth with you anymore. I got what I needed. Like, my responsibility, I'm held liable to getting payments. I got the payment. It went through. Like, you can go. I'm not going to sit here and fight over a signed receipt. I was like, you can leave. And she was like, you don't have to be so rude. This is the rudest experience I ever had. And you know that I'm going to tell people. Like, I know so many people in Miami because everybody that comes to Miami swears that they are Beyonce and that they know everybody. And they just going to shut the whole city down because it's them. So, like, girl, please. So she ended up yelling at me. She told me, she was like, F you, and I'm going to remember this, and I'm going to remember you if I see you. I'm like, all for eyelashes? Okay, good to know. So then I call my manager, Sydney, and I was just like, she was a nutcase, and she's like laughing. She was like, oh my God, people are so crazy. They want all this stuff, but they never want to pay for it, da-da-da-da. And I'm just like, I'm glad you got a kick out of it, because it wasn't funny. It wasn't an enjoyable experience. It was none of the above. But, okay. Thank you for that. Yeah. So that was the time that I was accused of robbing, scamming, scheming, all kinds of stuff, all because this lady did not want to pay for her eyelashes. Yeah. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this story time. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.